go to the stockbroker's office to do a transaction. OTEX East Africa has made life easy with your smartphone, with your small phone, without internet access. You can simply dial *292# and follow the prompts, and you'll be able to purchase yourself stocks all over East Africa. That is in Uganda, Kenya, and Tanzania. And very soon they will go abroad as well. But for now, you can access these and more securities by the convenience of your phone. So what are you waiting for? Dial *292# using your MTN SIM card. You can access, and of course, MTN mobile money as well, to get deposits onto your SCD account, and they will definitely have you sorted. You do this by yourself, no intermediates. Yeah. And this initiative called Zabu, of course, was launched earlier this month as, of course, the company looked to increase or ease accessibility of the stock markets and other financial markets to regular people like you and me. And so you can start, and remember not to invest your active income, but your residual income, that money that you're not going to need, for example, in the next 1 year, in the next 2 years, and so on. You can make you some more money by investing in securities. Securities are not only the equities we are looking at right now, but we also have the bonds and the bills, which can actually give you returns. At this moment, probably bills and bonds have some of the most attractive interest rates, with some bonds going up to 18% per annum. That is on return on investment. So, I mean, get started. That is the point. Get started, and of course, we will see our market as well grow. Before we went into a break, we looked at the Uganda Security Exchange trading day of 29th of June, but we did not look at the all-share index and as well as the local company index. Now, regarding the performance of the Uganda Security Exchange market indices, and still for starters, indices are simply some sort of performance trackers for a group of companies. Yes? So we track the performance of a certain group of companies together in terms of points rather than share price. I hope that's very clear. And now we look at the benchmark index in the Uganda Security Exchange, which is the all-share index. It shed about 3.2 points and lost, that is a value of 0.28%. To close the market at 1,130.12 points, representing a 1 week loss of about 2.25%, a 4 week loss of 7.12%, and an overall year-to-date loss of about 20.45%. And of course, the Uganda Security Exchange Local Company Index, which is another index that monitors the performance or tracks the performance of the domestic companies, also decreased by 1.23% to a price to points of about 269.47 points, making it a 1 week loss of 1.66% and a 4 week loss of 4.86%. and a year-to-date loss of 17%. Now, that, of course, is the aggregate performance of the indices. And indices are helpful in case you want to monitor the performance of the entire market without looking at each company individually, but looking at a range of companies and getting to know their aggregate performance, and of course, getting to know how you can invest in an exchange. So if you want to monitor the performance of an exchange as a whole, you may not need to go through all the series of companies and which ones are gaining. You can just look at their all-share index. You can look at their indices. Some companies, some exchanges have several indices, and definitely they track several companies. Like moving to the United States, on the New York Stock Exchange, we have the S&P 500. That is an index that tracks the performance of the top 500 American companies. So you look at the companies and you look at the index, how it is performing, and that determines how the average performance of all those 500 companies has been. And so, yeah, that's the beauty of the exchange, and definitely you need that information as well. Now let's move to the Nairobi Securities Exchange. And of course, if you're new here, we are always interested in the exchange of the Nairobi Security Exchange, simply because it's the oldest and the largest security exchange in East Africa, dating way back in 1954 when it started, and of course facilitates several classes of trading for both its local and foreign investors looking to gain exposure to the country's rising economy. Now, the BOAS is based in Nairobi, the capital of Kenya, and is one, of course, of the fastest growing economies in sub-Saharan Africa. And the Nairobi Stock Exchange operates under the jurisdiction of the Capital Markets Authority of Kenya, which is the regulatory body for the capital markets in Kenya, and is governed by an 11 board member. Interestingly, this exchange in 2014 demutualized and became listed on the main board on its own exchange. That means it became a separate entity and business, and had a public offer to allow the public buy shares in the exchange itself that listed on its own exchange. That is the Nairobi Stock Exchange as well. So yeah, that is why we are interested in this exchange, particularly because it says a lot about East Africa. Quite many companies, over 65 companies are listed on the Nairobi Stock Exchange, and looking at the performance of their securities as well is quite active and quite an interesting market. Now, good news for the All-Share Index, that is the benchmark index of the Nairobi Stock Exchange, which of course was initiated in 2008 in order to provide investors with a comprehensive measure of the performance of the market. And of course, this Nairobi All-Share Index is a market capitalization weighted index with the best value of 100 points. It comprises of listed securities, effectively the benchmark Kenyan stock market. And of course, in 2011, together with the FTSE International, the Nairobi Stock Exchange introduced the FTSE NSE Kenya 15 and the FTSE NSE Kenya 25 indices, which are designed for the creation of index tracking funds and derivative products, and as performance benchmarks while ensuring investability. And the Nairobi Stock Exchange 25 index is one that monitors the top 25 companies. Like I already mentioned, it monitors the performance of all the companies. It tracks all the companies that are in part of that index. Now, looking at yesterday, some green here, meaning some, of course, of the points going up, especially for the Nairobi Exchange All-Share Index, and they went up by about 1.76 points to about a price of an appreciation of about 1.43%. The market closed with, of course, 45 Nairobi Security Exchange listed equities participating in trading, and ending with 24 gainers and 17 losers on the market. Now, the Nairobi Stock Exchange maintains a 4 market segment listings category. We have the main market segment. We also have the alternate market segment, the fixed income market segment, and the growth enterprise market segment. Of course, the main market segment represents the large companies. The alternate represents the medium-sized companies. And the fixed income securities look at the securities that are listed, such as treasury bonds and the treasury bills, as well as the corporate bonds. The growth enterprise was, of course, initiated in 2013 to allow small enterprises access the capital markets so that they can grow and expand. Remember, a company benefits from the stock exchange by gaining capital. This capital it uses to invest in the business and grow and definitely bring in more revenue or much more profits. So now in the Kenyan capital, Nairobi, we have at Nairobi Security Exchange a growth enterprise market segment that welcomes the small enterprises to as well, be able to benefit and take a piece of cake of the capital markets in the nation there. Now let's have a little look at how the market played out as per yesterday. Absa Bank of Kenya was one of the losers, losing by 0.2 Kenyan shillings, and then Bamburi Cement was one of the gainers, gaining by about 0.35, and of course the price was 34.25, and the volume traded was about 1,300. Then British American Tobacco, Uganda, traded about 412 cents by the close of the market and traded a volume of 73,400 shares. And it was one of the losers, unfortunately, losing by 4 Kenyan cents. Another loser was Britam Holdings, losing by about 0.02 to a price of 5.6. We are seeing also East African Cables here gaining at about 0.08, and of course to a price of 0.19, down to CIC Insurance Group Limited, which is a gainer at 2.1 cents and trading a volume of about 49,700 Ugandan Kenyan shillings. And of course, looking at Cooperative Bank of Kenya, selling at about 10.95 and losing by about 0.15. Those were some of the key players. Another gainer was East African Breweries Limited, and another gainer there was Equity Group Holdings Limited, gaining by about 3.9. Then we had Everready East Africa Limited at 0.04, and then Standard Fahari Income Limited. Another loser was Flame Tree Group Holdings at 0.04, and a couple of other gainers and losers as well on the market. The market has 65 listed equities that, of course, happen to be able to participate in trading for that day. At the end of the day's trading session at the Nairobi Securities Exchange, over 8.9 million shares were traded in about 1,012 deals, corresponding to a market value of about 320 million 1,396 shares in about actually that is Kenyan shillings that was traded. Compared with the previous NSE trading day, the data shows a 30% improvement in turnover. So there was an improvement in the value of shares and a 2% improvement in deals, which is a good thing. And the current market capitalization for the Nairobi Stock Exchange is 1.91 trillion Kenyan shillings. In the aggregate, over 45 Nairobi Security Exchange listed equities participated in trading, ending with 24 gainers and 17 losers. The TPS East Africa Serena led the gainers at 9.52%. Share price appreciation closing at 13.8 per share. Captura T gained by 9.46%, and Stanbic Bank Holdings gained by 8.82%, and Safaricom gained by 6.64%. On the losing side, however, we had Everready East Africa that came out last with an end-of-day price depreciation of 5.41% at 0.7 Kenyan shillings per share. He was followed by Crown Paints Kenya at 4.77% loss in value, as well as Unga and Standard Group and Equity Group Holdings that of course recorded losses on the day. Of course, we had Safaricom trade the highest volume at 4.69 million shares that were traded yesterday, and he was followed by, actually, Equity Group Holdings recorded the highest volume at 4.69 million, and he was followed by Safaricom at 1.84 million, and then East African Breweries at 546,400 shares, while Kenya Power Lighting Company at 467,100 shares that were traded on the market. Regarding the performance of the market indices, the benchmark index, that is the Nairobi Stock Exchange All Share Index, soared by about 4.18%, by 4.193 points to close at 122.83. Yeah, it's a significant rise compared to how they started the week at about 117, 119 yesterday. Today, 122.83, quite something for Nairobi Stock Exchange. It represents a 3.55% gain in a week and a 4-week loss of 4.6, and an overall year-to-date of about 26.21. That is the Nairobi Stock Exchange. Remember, you can trade on the Nairobi Stock Exchange without going to Nairobi. Yeah? All you have to do is to access a stock broker who can trade on your behalf, or use the Altex way. You can dial *292# and you'll be able to access some of the equities that are listed on the Nairobi Stock Exchange. So don't limit yourself to the Ugandan market. You can expand your wings. The capital markets, the financial markets are borderless because companies like these interact and operate the same way. Yeah. So there's nothing like you have only to invest in Uganda. You have seen very many foreigners investing in our markets. People coming from United States, from Australia, investors from South Africa. They come here and buy shares that belong to us. So why not you also be able to buy shares across the border and bring in that foreign exchange for us? So it's possible. You just simply have to be open-minded and get started. That is what it takes. And of course, now we can move to the Johannesburg Stock Exchange, another principal stock exchange in Africa. Of course, the largest with over 425 listings. The Johannesburg Stock Exchange was started in 1887, and of course it was found during the South African gold rush. It has today one of the largest stock products, with various products like derivatives, mutual funds, and so many others. They have diversified and grown as an exchange. Now, of course, in 2005, the company, that is the Johannesburg Stock Exchange, demutualized and got listed on its own exchange. And of course, it has quite a number of indices, but we shall only monitor the performance of the benchmark index, that is the J203. Now, the J203 monitors some of the biggest companies on the exchange. And looking at that, it is the all share index for the Johannesburg Stock Exchange. And I'm seeing it was in red by the close of the market yesterday. It was lost by about 1.75% to about 1,183.58 points. That is by the close of the market as per yesterday. And of course, looking at the trading summary here, we had at the end of the day's trading a total of about 213 million shares in about 334,000 deals, corresponding to a market value of 24 billion rand, above 24.4 billion rand. That was traded on the Johannesburg Stock Market Exchange. You can imagine someone trading 24 billion just in a single day on the market. That is quite something. And as the Uganda exchange, we are looking at that. We are aiming at having our markets, trade billions in a single day. That's how markets grow. Because if you don't trade, the market loses value. It loses relevance. So looking at the Johannesburg Stock Exchange, really something we should learn from and pick up. Of course, we can put it on being the fact that it has been there for quite long, but as well, we can make strides towards that before time. Because we have very many things that have improved, the technology has improved, the people are now able to access stocks through their phones, which is something that was not seen before. So our market as well can grow to this. Compared now to the Johannesburg Stock Exchange trading day before, that is 28th of June to Tuesday, the data shows a decline of about 17% in volume and 2% improvement in turnover. And of course, the current market capitalization of the Johannesburg Stock Exchange is 19.9 trillion rand. That is how, of course, the market played out. Let's have a look a little bit about some of the movers on the market. We had ABSA. Now, ABSA Group is all over Africa, but of course, it's based in South Africa. And it's one of the losers as per yesterday, losing by about 3.31 rands. And it currently trades at 154.28 rand. Right? And then we have Achelo Mitre, South Africa Limited, at 0.14 loss to a price of 5.97. Then we had other losers as well, like Adcop and Avenge Group Limited. One of the gainers was Allied Electronics Corporation and also Alexander Forbes Group that represented some of the gainers there. And now we have very many listings here, about 425. But in aggregate, as per the close of the market yesterday, only about 328 Johannesburg Stock Exchange listed equities participated in trading, ending with about 106 gainers and 205 losers. Okay, that wasn't so good there. About 200 losers and 106 gainers. And of course, Visual International Holdings led the gainers at 33.33%. Could you imagine that? A company going up in value by 33.33% in just a single day. That is quite something on such a big market. And the other gainers were B, Sasol, as well as Cromet Company, and of course Advanced Health Company. On the losing side, we had Rebosis Property Fund, who came out last with an end of day price depreciation of 35.25%. Still quite significant. Now, in terms of volume, we had Stillwater Sibanye recording the highest volume of 16 million shares, and followed by Old Mutual at about 14 million First Rand, and of course the First Rand at 9.97, and Momentum Met Holdings at 5.58 million. Regarding the performance of the JSE market indices, the benchmark index, the all-share index of 203, J203, shed about 310 points, meaning there was a loss in the value of the all-share index. And the points to close at about 67,747.41 points. That is, of course, the trading summary for the Johannesburg Stock Exchange. Now, you don't have to worry so much about how you can know which company to invest in. Stockbrokers that are licensed by the Capital Markets Authority could be of help if at all you want to get started on investing in the capital markets. And you just have to reach out to them and they will be able to trade on your behalf. But if you want to invest in East Africa, Altex is giving you a chance to use your mobile phone without need of internet by simply dialing *292# and following the prompts and accessing all these and more securities on your mobile phone. We are going into a break. We'll be right back.